1871. One thief is out to catch another. This is about political corruption and the theft of millions of dollars. It is also a story about a free press, personal rights in the face of bribery and threats.
Boss Tweed himself. Good morning, Senator. Whoa there. Whoa. Come on over and get your phone.
Well, Tom Pickering, you're looking as spry as a schoolboy.
Did you hear that, Mother? Mr. Tweed called Grandpa by name.
Oh, yes, he was raised not a block from where we're standing.
How's the missus?
Hey.
How's the missus?
Oh, she's fine. Yes.
And he worked at the Grand Old Engine Company number 6.
Well, look at you.
Fireman?
That he did.
And then he became mayor of New York?
Oh, no, he's not the mayor's son. Mr. Opie Hall is the mayor.
Who's Mr. Tweed?
Well, now, he's what you might call the boss of them all.
God bless you, Mr. Tweed.
God keep it.
God bless you, Mr. Tweed.
Come see us again now. Yes, you, Mr. Tweed.
I think the plastering contract should go to Garvey. We've dealt with him before. I know he's reliable.
McManus offers a better rebate, pure and simple. And while we may not have dealt with him before, he has a good, solid reputation.
Give me the figures again.
They both agree it's a $60,000 job. Garvey will submit a bill for $210,000 and give his usual 60% rebate. Oh, McManus says he can give us a voucher for $225, and he offers us a 65% cut.
So it's $20,000 divided 4 ways. Not much. I tell you, lads, there's more to this business than making a quick buck. We better look ahead.
$86,420. All negotiables.
That's very good, Sheriff O'Brien. Have any trouble?
None to speak of.
Good lad. Watson will see to your share as soon as it's been totaled up.
I could use me 10% just now, Mr. Tweed, if you don't mind. It comes to $8,642, to be exact.
As soon as it's been tallied up and entered in the books, lad.
But I need me share now, Mr. Tweed. You see, I've certain obligations.
All right. Here's $5,000 in advance. You get the rest as soon as it's been tallied and entered in the books.
It leaves a balance of $3,642. In addition to the previous, that is.
Well, don't you think I can count, lad? Go on now, get back to your work.
Aye, Mr. Tweed. Good day, gentlemen.
The more I see of that man, the less I like of him.
He's a right troublemaker, no mistake. Always has been.
I have half a mind to fire him the job.
Oh? I was under the impression it was uniquely the mayor's prerogative to hire and fire sheriffs.
It is your prerogative, Mr. Mayor, to be seen and not heard, except on special occasions, such as the one for which you are due in 10 minutes' time to address the League for Honest Government. Let's get back to it.
I guess you're right. I'd best be off. Afterwards, I have a meeting with Jim Fisk and John Jacob Astor.
I'll be joining you for that, if you don't mind.
Certainly not, Bill. I assume you would enjoy exchanging views with two such financial wizards as Fisk and Astor.
He gives me a pain with his highfalutin airs.
The voters
Go for the dapper look, Bill.
Aye, the voters don't know they're up from their down.
Mr. Fair count, 86, 420, less the 5 you just gave to O'Brien.
Well, let's divide it then. 5 for Hall. 20, 35. Or the odd 1,600 going to Watson. Fair enough?
Oh, hello, Tom. Good afternoon, Mrs. Nast.
Hello, Mr. Harper.
Just in time. Came out very well.
I hope you like this one just as well.
The Tammany, the tiger. This Tweed thing is getting to be something of an obsession with you, isn't it, Tom?
Perhaps you're right, Mr. Harper. But you know as well as I do what's taking place in this city. Fraud, corruption, abuse of power.
What I am aware of should not necessarily limit the scope of the magazine's editorial coverage, which I like to believe is balanced, fair, and informative.
That is not exactly how I see my role. Now, I want to inform, yes, but I also want to influence people by giving them the truth. That's our responsibility. If we don't give them the truth, no one will.
Tom, I'm sure Mr. Harper wasn't trying to discourage you in your work.
That's right, Mrs. Nast, I was not. But what I really wanted to say is this. Tweed and his ring are above the law. And it would be a serious mistake to underestimate the lengths to which they are prepared to go. We may find ourselves walking a very lonely road. And perhaps a very dangerous one.
And would you say, Mr. Tweed, that the present outlook for the city economy is an optimistic one?
Oh, it is indeed. All the indications, all the figures point to a very definite upturn in the city's economy.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Senator, we at the World have been... We at the World have been taking stock of the many civic improvements which have come about under your auspices. Central Park, the Brooklyn Bridge, the widening of Broadway, and so on. Now, tell me, sir, do you have any more miracles of progress up your sleeve?
Gentlemen, even as we stand here conversing, there's a staff of engineers at the drawing board planning a railway in the sky. An elevated train which will soar at unheard of speeds high above the city.
Please, Mr. Tweed, isn't it true that a recent federal study has indicated a 3% increase in violent street crime in the city?
Well, look who's here, Mr. Limey Beans himself. We're discussing a local issue, not federal muck. Why don't you take your papers and peddle them back where you came from?
Isn't he from London, England?
All right, lad. Who is a more sensible question?
Mr. Tweed, could we go back to the school funds? Now, there's a local issue for you.
Mr. Jennings, you're from the New York Times, are you not?
I am the editor of the New York Times, Mr. Tweed.
And your boss, your publisher, Mr. What's his name?
Jones, Mr. George Jones.
Yes. Is Mr. Jones aware that your type of questions, which can only be considered a form of extreme harassment, may well cause him the loss of thousands of dollars in city advertising?
I believe he is, yes.
And,
Mr. Tweed, would you care to comment?
Is he also aware that things can get a lot worse than that?
Bill.
I suggest you take that up with Mr. Jones himself, Mr. Tweed.
Well, I'll do that, all right. And I'll be taking it up with you, too, Mr. Jennings. Make no mistake about that.
Mr. Nast, this is our publisher, Mr. George Jones. Mr. Thomas Nast. Mr. Jones, we met at the press conference just now.
This is a very great pleasure indeed. I must tell you how much all of us here at the Times admire your work.
If you liked my point of view so much, I'm very surprised you didn't see fit to express it in the New York Times.
You have quite a point there, Mr. Nast. I hope I can explain. See this man, second from the left? That is old Taylor, senior member of the board of directors. Now, somehow he managed to block our every move against Tweed and the ring.
Why?
Because he was practically one of them. A partner in a rather large business concern called the New York Printing Company, one of the other partners being William Tweed.
You say Mr. Taylor was practically one of them?
Yes. He went. Just like that. A seizure yesterday evening. While he was playing roulette, I believe.
Pity, too, he was only 96. What it all means, of course, is that we shall, at long last, have a free hand to fight Tweed. May I read you something which I intend to publish straight away? Is it possible that a public servant such as Richard B. Connolly, whose annual salary as city controller is a modest $7,500, could have accumulated in less than 2 years properties valued in excess of $3 million?
That's a beginning. Now, of course, Jennings and I are against their outrageous thievery. But there's something more. We are strong believers in the right of the opposition to be heard, regardless of who's in power. And under Tweed's rule, as you well know, there simply is no opposition.
Well, gentlemen, I'm very glad you're going to be in this fight with me. I was beginning to feel very alone.
We call them swindlers because that is what, in fact, they are. And it is useless to beat about the bush in dealing with such people. In any other country, they would be mobbed in the streets for attempting to cheat the public at a time of so much trouble and difficulty.
By God. What that man can do with a few strokes of the pen takes me a whole 6 columns of type. Have you seen this, George?
Libel. That's what it is. Damnable libel.
Oh, I don't give a tinker's damn what they write. Some drawings by Thomas Nast that gall me. My constituents may not know how to read, but they sure can see them damn pictures.
Well, it's not only Nast and his cartoons. It's Jones and Jennings on the Times you've got to contend with.
Oh.
Now, surely, Bill, there must be some way of dealing with them.
I'd publicly horsewhip the 3 of them, give them half a chance.
Well, I was referring to more conventional means, Bill.
That's just what I had in mind. Why don't we get rid of them all in one fell swoop? You know, they keep on going on and on about opening up the books and showing the public the books and all that rot. Now, what would you say if we were to select a blue ribbon committee to examine the books? I mean, outstanding citizens, gentlemen above suspicion, beyond reproach, the cream of society, selected and presided over by none other than yourself, Mr. John Jacob Astor. The committee, of course, would repudiate all the charges against our administration and restore the full confidence in the voters before the coming election.
Well, now, Bill, I wonder if we might not be a bit more specific regarding my role. I mean, that is to say...
What you to get out of it? Is that the specific you had in mind, Jack Astor? Well, we were thinking that the Erie Railroad tax assessment we were able to get for you last year...
I don't dwell on the past, Bill. I find that morbid.
Well, I was thinking of the future, about taxes. You know, if the new city government should be elected, and in all likelihood, they'll reassess properties. I mean, all properties.
You actually think there's a chance of that?
Our administration is cleared by a bona fide blue ribbon investment committee before the election.
Yes. Well, now tell me, Bill, how large a committee do you think it should be? How many members?
Oh, I don't think its numbers are as important as its inclination. Remember what the Georgia lawyer said. It's a good thing to know the law. It's even better to know the judge.
Let's hear it from the boss. Congratulations, Bill. It's a great day for Tammany.
The committee has made its investigation, and this is its report, just as I predicted. Listen to this. And we further certify the account books of the department are faithfully kept.
That's telling.
We have come to the conclusion and certify that the financial affairs of the city are administered in a correct and faithful manner.
How do you think your victory here will affect the election?
Buddy, nice to see you.
The tiger has roared. Now he will bite.
That's very good.
Hey, how's your mother, Terry? Good.
Congratulations, Mr. Tweed. And now there are no excuses for not paying up what's due, man. Am I right, boss?
Every man gets his due, O'Brien. You should know that. Thank you, dear friends and support. The confidence of the public has been restored in the government of the city. This is a shining hour for justice and virtue, a triumph over evil. But let us not rest on our laurels. Now's the time for us to get off our backsides and get out the vote.
Have a drink on us, lad. And don't forget to vote for Tammany.
Let me do that.
All right, just move along now.
Voted already, have you?
Oh, indeed, I have, officer.
The right way.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, you'd best get back and vote again now.
350, 400. That looks like an even 2,000 to me. That'll put Tammany on top.
Oh, it looks more like 5,000 to me. You can't be too careful when you're counting the votes.
Tammany victorious.
Mr. Thomas Nast.
Yes?
Henry Mark I. May I have a word with you?
Come in.
Mr. Nast, I represent several, shall I say, patrons of the arts. Persons who are ardent admirers of your work. Indeed, they have compared it to that of the great Daumier.
Very complimentary. Perhaps even flattering.
Not at all, Mr. Nast. It is their feeling that your talents are so considerable that you should have an opportunity to develop them to their fullest by enjoying a period of study in Europe. And they are prepared to undertake the financing of it. The expenses to include your wife and family, naturally.
Who are they exactly, these patrons?
Well, the fact is, Mr. Nast, they prefer to remain anonymous. But they have authorized me to act on their behalf. And I'm prepared to offer you $50,000 to finance the study abroad for the period of 1 year.
Tell me, Mr. Marquand, this period of study abroad, would it prevent my contributing to the magazine known as Harper's Weekly?
Well, it would naturally be assumed that your absence would necessarily limit your interest in these local matters.
I see. And how much did you say? 50,000?
Correct.
Why not 100,000?
I think that could be arranged.
I see. Well, then what about 200?
Mr. Nast, you'll find my client most cooperative. Any reasonable figure, including 200,000.
Your client? Don't you mean my patrons?
Yes, Mr. Nast, your patrons.
Well, then. Shall we say 500,000?
If you're serious, Mr. Nast, I can assure you that the figure is acceptable.
I'm very serious, Mr. Marquand. And you may tell your client that I am determined to put him and his band of thieves behind bars.
You'll be very lucky, Mr. Nast, if they don't put you in a coffin.
We'll take up a fund for the widow Watson. You see to it, Dick. Have some handbills printed up. Give to the widow Watson, that sort of thing.
Watson left her fairly well off, you know, Bill.
That's not the point. The point is we can use the occasion of a city accountant's death. I mean, sacrifices of a dedicated public servant, underpaid, etc.
Yes, and we can get the Sun to do one of his serious editorials on it.
You see? Any situation can be turned to advantage. Remember that. Now, who we got to take his place? That's the next point on the agenda.
Yes, well, we've already seen to that, Bill. And a good man he is, too. Name of Copeland. William Copeland.
O'Brien says he's one of the best.
O'Brien? What's he doing around here? I thought I told you to give him the boot.
Yes, well, you see, Bill, his official term has not yet expired.
Hey, and don't forget, we still owe him a bit of money on his collection accounts.
How big did you say? Over 300,000, according to him.
You must be getting soft in the head.
Well, I agree with Sweeney. We'd best let him stay on for the moment. Keep an eye on him.
Hey, he's unpredictable, that O'Brien. He bears watching, that's the truth.
Bears watching, does he? Well, you watch him all you please. I've got more important things to do.
Nice work, Mr. Copeland. I'll make good use of this. Are you Jennings?
Yes, I am.
Then you're just the man I'm looking for.
This is even more outrageous than I'd imagined. But don't you understand, I must have some satisfaction as to their authenticity. I have to know how you came by them, and I'd very much like to know why you're giving them to me.
Well, I suppose there's no harm in telling you now. When Watson, he was the regular accountant. When he died, I had him replaced with a friend of mine, Mr. William Copeland. I showed him where the secret books was kept, and he copied them at night. A dangerous job it was, too. I nearly caught him at it.
And the reason you're giving this information to me?
They owed me money. Lots of money. And they welched on it.
I see. And now then, this entry, for example, May the 28th, carpeting for over $70,000. Surely that must be miscopied.
No. Copeland is a very careful man. And as for that particular entry, I checked it myself. And most of the others as well.
Then how about this? October the 7th, brass fittings, County Courthouse, $63,844.61. 61 cents? Why 61 cents?
Well, they were very, precise. Made it more authentic-like. Putting in the extra penny here and there.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it?
Not them entries you got to worry about, Mr. Jennings. They're right enough.
What do you mean?
What I mean, Mr. Jennings, is that when the boys find out that you've got this stuff, they'll likely murder you.
special edition. Latest facts on Tammany scandal. Get your New York Times.
I'll have a paper, please.
Here, boy, I'll take one of those.
Well, they're buying it.
And what's more, they'll be believing it this time.
That's right. They have no choice, have they? It's all right there. Absolute proof.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Well, gentlemen, I see you've all been given copies of the latest news, or should I say spews.
Mayor Hall, what is the official position of the administration on these allegations?
James, it's a tempest in a teapot. It'll blow over in no time at all.
It's getting a bit thin, isn't it?
What's that you said, Charlie? Speak up. I'm sure we'd all like to hear it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I was just wondering if there's any truth in the accusations of corruption which the New York Times has been carrying for the past week.
Did you hear what I said? Rubbish! Garbage, that's all it is. Garbage.
Mr. Tweed, is it true that earlier this week you offered the publisher of the New York Times $5 million not to publish these records?
And if it is, what are you going to do about it?
And is it also not true that when he refused your offer, that you tried to buy the controlling stock of the paper?
Is that the truth, Senator Tweed?
You heard what I said. What are you going to do about it? Come on, get out of here. Get out, all of you.
Well, what are you going to do about it, boss?
Damn ingrates. They wouldn't have their jobs if it weren't for me. We'll show them tonight at the meeting. When they see how the people respond to this business, they'll retract that tripe before the next issue. When they see John Jacob Astor sitting there at the table with me, they'll sing a different tune entirely. You can depend upon that. It is confirmed, is it not, that Astor will be here
Well,
tonight?
Bill, I tried to tell you, not been able to reach him. They say it's not available. It's been like that all week, ever since the Times first published their report. Traveling, I suppose.
He's not the only one. Garvey and Ingersoll have already sailed for Europe. My brother's gone to Paris.
Do you know that the property now being occupied by the offices of the New York Times was once a church? If my guess is any good, we can make a damn good case against them for desecrating sanctified ground. Run them all out of business just like that. Well, you're all lawyers. Let's hear some of your ideas.
Well, what about this? A tie-in between Thomas Nast and the New York Times, and spreading it about how Tom Nast cleared out of Germany simply to avoid the draft.
Won't wash. He was only 4 years old when he came here.
All right, what about this then? We spread it about how Jennings was fired from his fancy London job for reasons of being perverse.
No good. He's a married man.
Yes, and to a very attractive actress at that, I believe.
An actress? An actress is no better than a common harlot. That's one answer. Jennings is married to a harlot.
Gentlemen, I believe I can see a way of snatching, if one may coin, victory from the jaws of defeat. Now, consider this. Dick here is city controller, is responsible, at least in a technical sense, for city spending. That is to say, for the accounting ledgers, which all this fuss is about. Now, wouldn't everyone be satisfied? I mean, the press, the voters, and so on, if Dick were simply to resign?
That's not a very funny joke, Mr. Mayor.
Now, wait a minute. That's not such a bad idea. I mean, look at it this way, Dick. I mean, it's only a technicality, after all. I mean, we'll all back you up financially. We'll see that you and the family are taken care of. Isn't that so, lad?
Yes, well, I can see your point, Bill.
We've got to give the press something, haven't we?
Well, you're not giving them Dick Connolly, I can tell you that. You try it, and I'll blow the whistle and the whole stinking lot of you. I swear I will.
Well, we've got to give them something.
Not me, Bill. I wasn't born to be anybody's scapegoat.
William Marcy Tweed died in jail. He and the rest of his ring destroyed by the sharp pens of Thomas Nast, Louis Jennings, and a press that dared to exercise its constitutional right to remain free.